The sting of defeat lingered in the air. The Battle of Badr, a year prior, had left an indelible mark on the Quraysh of Mecca. Their pride was wounded. Their trade routes were threatened. Most importantly, their defiance of the new faith, Islam, had been met with a humiliating defeat. Revenge was not just desired, it was an obsession. The very name Badr ignited a fire in their hearts, a fire that could only be quenched by the blood of their enemies. The Quraysh craved retribution against the Prophet Muhammad and his followers, now residing in Medina. These followers, the Muslims, had dared to challenge their authority, their beliefs, and their very way of life. The memory of fallen Quraysh warriors, prominent figures amongst them, fueled their thirst for vengeance. The whispers of revenge soon turned into a roar. The leaders of the Quraysh rallied their people. They would not rest until they had avenged their losses and crushed the burgeoning Muslim community. The wounds of Badr ran deep, both physically and psychologically. The Quraysh were determined to prove their might and restore their tarnished honor. They yearned for the day when they could meet the Muslims again on the battlefield. This time, they vowed, victory would be theirs. The memory of Badr served as a constant reminder of what was at stake: their pride, their power, and the future of their gods. And so the wheels of war were set in motion. The Quraysh spared no expense in their quest for vengeance. They poured vast resources into raising a formidable army. The profits from a lucrative caravan led by Abu Sufyan were dedicated to the war effort. This caravan, laden with silver and goods, had been the initial target of the Muslims at Badr. Now, its riches would be used to finance an army that would crush them. 3,000 men answered the call to arms, a force 3 times larger than the one that had fought at Badr. Among them were experienced warriors, eager to avenge their fallen comrades. The desert echoed with the clang of swords being forged and the clatter of hooves as cavalry assembled. The Quraysh were leaving nothing to chance. Their cavalry, numbering in the hundreds, gave them a significant advantage in mobility and striking power. Their infantry, armed with swords, spears and shields, formed the backbone of the army. Among them were women, filled with a desire for revenge, who tended to the wounded and urged the men forward. The beating heart of this vengeful force was the memory of Badr. Every swing of the swordsmith's hammer, every desert tribe that pledged allegiance, every dirham poured into the war chest brought the Quraysh one step closer to their goal: to obliterate the Muslims and extinguish the flame of Islam. The air crackled with anticipation. The desert sands themselves seemed to vibrate with the approaching storm of war. As the Quraysh prepared for war, news of their mobilization reached Medina. Hazrat Abbas, an uncle of the Prophet Muhammad, but still residing in Mecca, risked his life to relay this critical information. His message was clear: the Quraysh were coming, and they were coming for blood. The news sent ripples of anxiety through Medina. The Muslims were vastly outnumbered. The memory of Badr, while a source of pride, was also a reminder of their own vulnerability. The Prophet Muhammad, known for his wisdom and strategic mind, called a council of war. He understood the gravity of the situation. The council presented a divided front. The younger, more ardent Muslims, eager to defend their faith, advocated for meeting the Quraysh in open battle. They argued that remaining within Medina's walls would be perceived as weakness. They yearned to meet the enemy head-on, to demonstrate their courage and unwavering faith. The older, more cautious members of the council urged restraint. They argued for a defensive strategy, leveraging Medina's fortifications to withstand a siege. They understood the risks involved in engaging such a superior force in open combat. The fate of the Muslim community, their very survival, hung in the balance. The Prophet Muhammad, as always, listened intently to the counsel of his companions. He weighed the arguments carefully, considering the potential consequences of each course of action. His decision would determine the fate of Islam and his followers. After much deliberation, the Prophet Muhammad made his decision. He would meet the Quraysh in battle. His decision was influenced by the pleas of the younger Muslims, eager to defend their faith, and by his own strategic calculations. He understood that allowing the Quraysh to dictate the terms of engagement could be detrimental in the long run. 1,000 men answered the call to arms. They were a diverse group, bound by their faith and their unwavering belief in the Prophet Muhammad. They marched out of Medina, their faces etched with a mix of trepidation and resolve. They knew the odds were stacked against them. Among them were seasoned warriors like Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's uncle, known for his courage and ferocity in battle. There was also Musab ibn Umayyah, chosen to carry the Muslim standard, a symbol of their unity and resolve. Each man carried the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, the responsibility to protect their families, their faith, and their future. As they marched, the Prophet Muhammad made a crucial decision. He ordered a group of young boys eager to join the fight to return to Medina. He recognized their zeal but understood the need to protect those too young for the horrors of war. Only one boy, Rafi ibn Khadij, a skilled archer, was allowed to remain. The Muslim army pressed on, their numbers dwarfed by the approaching Quraysh, but their spirits soaring with faith. They marched towards a hill known as Uhud, the stage for a battle that would be etched in the annals of Islamic history.